So welcome to Jim's informal mic, open mic. I've forgotten what number this is. We're up around 12 or more. Having a lot of fun with these. And the first person who's going to share a poem tonight will be Don Krieger.
Thank you so much. I'm really happy to be here and I'm happy to meet you. I think Mary, I think we've met.
Yeah, I think we have.
But I haven't met Kavita. It's nice to meet you, Kavita. My neighborhood. I step outside for a break, shade trees and hanging moss, metal roofs and rubbish. A roar sounds out like thunder. No flash, but close, very close. An airliner, an atom bomb, but no flash. And I can still see. No, in the sky, a warplane streaks low. Then a second. Are they here? Are they here for me? But this isn't Gaza or the Texas border. Yet I hold still as a hare hidden beneath the trees till they are long gone. That's my neighborhood.
Unfortunately, a lot of neighborhoods today.
Yeah.
Mary?
Okay. This is a prose poem, and it actually was something that I wrote in response to Lorette Luzicek's memory volume project. And this wasn't accepted for that. A couple other things were, but it is sort of centered around the image that I was responding to was Leonardo da Vinci's Virgin of the Rocks. And this is the poem. That was the summer I tore the image of Leonardo's Virgin of the Rocks from my grandma's church calendar, kept it close in the small back room I claimed as my own, dragging Aunt Seal's old army cot in there and pushing it up against the wall, small for a real bed and not comfortable, but I was young and needed solitude more than comfort. Didn't mind loose plaster sometimes falling from the ceiling, or there'd been a leak in the floor above. I needed peace and solitude more than space or light. Had that cot and Dad's old trunk for a table and a door I could close against the ever-present crowd of brothers, sisters, parents, and Graham, all of us living our lives out on top of one another, even sleeping 2 or 3 to a bed and talking, always talking. That was the summer of my secret calendar, where I marked each day I bled in that endless period. Each day, another X in the chain of crosses I knew was wrong, but kept hidden, the sign of shame or punishment. One more secret, one more sin I better not confess. Those luminous faces in Leonardo's stony grotto felt cool and calm, like a blessing, beautiful enough to forgive anything, even my most essential sins dissolving in their light as I was held and protected in that small room, in that rocky grotto, in the space between the Virgin and the angel, a space I felt as an embrace, a secret consolation no one could suspect or take away. Here I was safe to sleep or wake, to draw or dream, to lose myself in the longest novels I could find, adding chapters, layers, rooms, and holy spaces, each a refuge and a consecration, promises sweeter than the hope of heaven to my shabby and imperfect soul. Thank you.
Interesting observation of childhood, especially in a busy home.
Yeah.
Kavita.
Hello, everyone from cold, snowy, soporific Calgary, Canada. But I was born and raised in hot, humid Bombay, and we had lots of banyan trees, especially on the outskirts. So, since Mary read a prose poem, I'm going to read a prose poem called Banyan Tree Blessings. In a recurring dream, I'm teaching school under the banyan tree in an Indian village. The village children playing, "Here we go round the mulberry bush," swinging on the long roots, warmed by the sun and cooled by the shade. Open air games are so much fun. They're singing the nursery rhyme I've taught them in English. Their voices are sweet, with faces full of innocence, their accents quaint and refreshing. The banyan tree stands strong and silent. It's a kind of monarch of all I survey. It does not speak. It possesses silent, infinite knowledge. It's the master teacher. I've read that the banyan tree is a good source of oxygen. Breathing the pure air will fill the heart and mind. The flow of knowledge is easy and becomes purified. I have photographs of my children standing under an old banyan tree in Mexico. Those pictures were special. The tree seemed to love having them there. It wrapped them in a loving embrace and sheltered them from the hot Mexican sun. We returned to those pictures many, many times. Trees communicate to other trees through their roots. They have their own language. My roots have started talking to me, calling to me in nightly dreams and by day. I must obey their wishes. Trees have a heartbeat. My heart beats in rhythm with the trees. It beats peacefully under the banyan tree. It's the heartbeat of pure poetry. I am at peace. The banyan tree looks like a woman with long braids. It reminds me of my mother. She had two long braids that fell below her hips. She washed her hair once a week and dried it in the sun. She braided it without looking in the mirror. Sun-dried hair. My mother was a teacher too. Like me, she taught in stone classrooms in buildings with few windows. From one of my classrooms, you could see a beautiful old tree, almost like a painting. From another, you could see a long train with many carriages. The train whistled its music, and the birds sang their songs and played their mischief. I loved the tree and the train. I wished it were a banyan tree. The birds in the tree seemed to look inside the classroom, and the train whistle sounded sweet and romantic to my ears. The driver waved to me, us, me, and the children. You cannot see the clouds for the thickness of the roots of the banyan tree. One or two with a silver lining may be visible. Of course, there would be birds, the sparrows and the miners, and a peacock strutting proudly by. That would be pure art. The children could get out their slates and draw, using blue and green chalk for the feathers. Everything in nature is so pure. When we become thirsty, we could take a trip to the well. I've looked into a well, seen my reflection, and heard my voice thrown back to me in echoes. Children would stay at a safe distance, of course. Lunch under the banyan tree would taste delicious, the flavors enhanced by the loving arms of the tree. Tree blessings are special. The temple beside the tree would add its blessings. The well water would wash down the food with its sweetness. An Indian village is unbeatable in its beauty. I hope you will understand the bias. With my brown skin, the color of lightly muddied water, I feel a strong affinity to the village setting. I have a passion for teaching children. The village teachers taught under the banyan tree. Sometimes there was no money to build classroom. Perhaps those teachers had more wisdom to impart, a different kind of wisdom. Thank you.
You're welcome. For you and Mary, since you both chose to read prose poems, which by nature are much longer than free verse or rhymed verse, we'll see how the time goes.
Yeah.
You may, if you're going to read two or one or two more, please pick something short.
Yes, definitely. I
Okay.
did that.
I'm going to read one of the poems that I wrote as part of my April with Friends project, which I have done. This is my fourth year doing. I was highly not motivated to do it until about a week before, and then I decided I would anyway. So this was a poem. The topic requested was healing, and the title of the poem is "If You Should Break." What a shame it would be if you were ceramic, or stone, or silver, or glass, each with its strength, each with its breaking point. Except that for every broken, beautiful thing, there is a soft answer waiting to be spoken, waiting to repair. Kintsugi, mortar, solder, glue, skillfully applied and polished, never ignorant of the cracks, but gently acknowledging that perfection through pain does not mean removing scars, but honoring them. As I honor your wounds by applying soothing balm, wrapping them in gauze, giving you time to recover before dressings are removed. You will wear your scars proudly. They will remind you daily how strong you were when everything seemed broken, when you felt that nothing and no one could heal you.
Love that poem. Amazing. Very peaceful, very true.
That rolls us back to Dawn.
I've enjoyed all of these very much. Thank you. Mary, I wonder if you haven't published yours yet, maybe Swim might be a good place for it.
I could try, yeah.
I thought it was, I mean, I thought both yours, I thought all three poems were wonderful.
Thank
But
you.
yours struck me as I think Swim, they might like it. Maybe you know them. I mean,
I a little bit. I read them. I
Mhm.
read what they post. And I actually was at a local reading where the woman who does Swim, what's her name? Casey?
Jen
No,
Karetnik.
MB McClatchy.
The
Anyway,
one, hmm,
she was there and she was reading her stuff, and I had only sent in one and it was rejected, and she said, well, send in again, which is
yeah,
good advice, I guess, for all of us.
yeah, that's great. I grew up in West Palm Beach, and we had banyan trees there.
Ah,
And I was always I would just love looking at them and being close to them.
I kind of
Th-
switched between the banyan tree in the Indian village
uh,
to the train that was outside my window here on the outskirts of Calgary, where I was teaching in a school, in a Lutheran school, actually. So yeah, I did a little bit of back and forth in the poem.
the house I grew up in was a block and a half from the train, but- and it could always hear it. So this is because of your poems. I'm going to read one from when I was a kid. Long time coming. The house fires were always in Colored Town. Dad called them less fortunate, but we're different. Our house is concrete, and you're meant for college. The missile crisis came. Castro had nukes. Bombers flew over every few minutes. Convoys ran Dixie Highway for weeks, so it was hard crossing to school. We had no basement for shelter. I dug a hole in the yard one time. It filled with seawater. We were drilled in class, marched to the closet to cower. When Nixon got in, I was terrified. Thought he might use nukes in Vietnam, burn everything clean. That's long time coming.
Mm.
It's an interesting perspective that you get from those things that you're talking about. I was in New Mexico at the time. We didn't have basements, let alone bomb shelters. But all of those concerns and worries, what will happen? When will it hit? Mary.
Okay. It's interesting how much the threat of war, you remembered from your childhood. We had the get under your desks, I mean, which when you think about it, how crazy was that? There's going to be a bomb. Get under your desks. Okay. This one is called Morning. Morning came without question, a simple light through lingering mist still untouched by the sun, the world full of itself, expecting nothing, while all my necessities fell flat and false, weightless against the gravity of the day's turning, indifferent to my failures of art and imagination, owing nothing to my hopes, full of its own intentions, the spinning, changing, dancing movement of light on leaf and stone, the moon's pull on waters, keeping the tides in order, the occasional eclipse progressing whether I watch or not, as I stand on the rim of day without the urge to move forward or back, to defend myself against the pull of yearning, resting like the sheen of dew still there on cool grasses, one breath before the day sublimates and warms us, and all evaporates, dreams like tissue, dissolving, gone. Thank you.
Thank you. Kavita?
I'm going to read a poem called Imperfections. It's a short poem, and I think it was published in Verse Virtual and also in another magazine called Femasia. Imperfections. I am a lover of imperfections, drawn to the rugged arches of my backyard patio and the haphazard petunias in the rough black window boxes. I do not crave the neatly manicured lawn with the perfect robin pecking at the perfect worm, or the ants in their perfect line formation, trudging diligently to store for the winter. Rather, I love the clashing colors of randomly planted flowers in zigzag furrows, and the splashing robin in the bird bath, with the water drops going in every which direction, to form stained glass patterns against the afternoon sun. I love the fallen mix and match cushions on the concrete patio floor, a book or two on the uneven tables, a half-drunk teacup with a grain of sugar fallen for the spider or the ant to carry away. I am a lover of imperfections, of organized chaos, of oxymorons and silly alliterations, of poetic prose and life in all its contradictions, worn lightly and slightly frayed at the seams. Thank you.
Thank you, and welcome, Sterling.
Hi.
Glad
Sorry
you
to
could
be
join us. I've assigned you number 5, and I am number 4, so you will read right after I do. This next poem, I had no idea when I wrote it that it was about old age. Now that I'm old age, I recognize it. It's called Singular. You stand in the spotlight, take your bows, hear the sound of one hand clapping, silent applause. You wonder at the sense of isolation generated by this oddity. Feel again the loss of his hand in yours when times and you were younger. In the darkness, beyond your ring of light, poet whispers, come listen. I will read you moments of forgotten smiles when you and I were alone and quite singularly happy. That brings us up to Sterling.
Could we do the share?
I forgot that you like to do that.
Anyway.
Advanced sharing options, all participants. Yes, you may screen share.
Yesterday was May 1st, and I got to thinking about my mom, who I guess would have been about 92 at this time. Anyway, I may have read this before. I know I've read it someplace. I'm going to read it today. I want to share it with you. Whoops, not that. Lincoln Glen Diadem for Mom. Queen of the May. Setting rat traps in the attic, I found my mother's photograph. A 5-year-old May Queen, kindergarten crowned, as classmates tossed petals in the paths where she'd walk en route to a throne abandoned by yesteryear's royalty. Wrapping tall poles in ribbons and wooden branches, young children rejoiced full-hearted, undaunted by parental taboos or pagan fertility ritual roots. Placing the
We lost you, Sterling.
Jim, if you turn off his video, he may come back. It's a
Do I
bandwidth problem.
have the power to turn off his video?
Yeah, you can. Oh, I see he's moving now.
yeah, you guys were frozen on my screen.
No, you were frozen
Okay.
on ours.
Yeah, well, okay. What I'm going to do is I'm going to just do stop share and I'll finish the poem. I said, undaunted by parental taboos or pagan fertility roots, placing the faded time capsule in my back pocket, I quit setting traps and smiled. I'd captured a jewel. That's all.
Thank you. Now I'm really curious, Don. I know how to stop someone from sharing or to turn it off, but I didn't know I could turn off someone else's video.
Yeah, I'm happy to show that to you anytime, or you can just
Great.
look it up.
When
It's
we finish here, if you don't mind, you can run me through that.
sure, I'd be happy to.
Guess what? Number one.
Okay, I think I'm gonna share this one. In the beginning, we must know ourselves, St. Augustine. We in America wake to the horror, 1,200 dead, 200 abducted, Israel poised to destroy as God did to Sodom. We swear never forget, or free Palestine, or some other such meme of the moment. Babel, the towers at city center in flames, smoke and harbor stench, billowing silver in the sun. And so it goes on and on. We care as we watch on TV, but we live in an orchard. Figs and cedar, fresh bread and warm shade, clean work and time stretching to the evening cool. The innocents and righteous of Israel and Gaza may as well have died with Lot's nameless wife, killed by God for caring, because he never did, even for his own. So why should we? We in America may as well have lived as imbeciles in Eden, where knowledge was forbidden, when hate and humanity were new.
That was
That's
interesting. What's the story
Wow.
behind that? Besides the obvious.
well, that's the title poem for a manuscript that I've put together. The manuscript's titled "We in America," and I had written it maybe a year or two ago, and it went in a totally different direction. And then I rewrote it this way when the Israel war started, and it really seemed to fit.
Yeah, there's a lot to write about, especially wars all over the place.
Yeah, it's difficult to write about without causing harm.
It is. It is
It's
always difficult, as someone once said, it is okay to mourn for those who are suffering in more than one group. And
right.
it's okay to do that,
Yes.
but it's difficult to express that without someone in one group or the other feeling that you've somehow offended them by taking sides.
And I think that that's the line that really hit me in your poem that you just read was imbeciles in Eden. And it made me think of the student protests because I think that they've taken a very complex situation and reduced it to black and white, reduced it to a structure that doesn't really fit, of oppressors and oppressed, good guys and bad guys, without any kind of subtlety in, that the situation really demands. And it strikes me very much that that line, imbeciles in Eden, might apply to them and might apply to many of us, thinking about war and at a distance. We're at a distance, we're not threatened by bombs and explosions and starvation and, all of those things.
Yeah, and it is different. We are so protected and isolated from it.
Yes, yes,
I think
yes.
that we could talk about that for the rest of our time tonight. Let's go on to Kavita for her third.
Are you skipping me?
Oh, it's Mary next, I think.
I'm sorry. I thought I was just listening to Mary and going, didn't she just read? Mary,
No, that
would you
was
please,
just my that
would
was
you
just
please
my
please us?
okay. This poem is called First. First, the sudden air pushes the lungs open, a cold invasion greeted with a scream. The floating world and wordless dreams ended as something closes, pinches, cuts, separates our one continuous surface where skin is everything, shared everywhere. We touch, divided, we defy division, want to return to the essential, nameless whole, before light, before vision, before the God of word and light, where I and you are theoretical, our separation, the mother of all pain, the first betrayal into loneliness. At first, it all hurts, the light, the air, the need to breathe and swallow, an abandonment that lasts forever, which is all the time left until we are back, skin to skin, that shadow of our original integration, enclosed, enfolded in that embrace, sometimes still remembered, the garden lost with that first inevitable breath. Thanks.
Thank you. Now can we go to Kavita?
Yeah.
Yes, you may. Yeah, I just got an email saying that my poem, speaking about war, which is Questions from a Refugee, which Jim published in the April issue of Verse Virtual, has been accepted for Holocaust Remembrance Day issue, which they publish every year. So I won't read that poem because it is in the April issue, but it's a poem very close to my heart. Again, talking with Jim last time, he mentioned how difficult it is to write poems without offending anyone, and my poem didn't offend anyone. So I'm going to read a very short poem from my chapbook, Light of the Sabbath, and it's called The Poetry of Stars. Last night, I asked my daughter why she was going to bed so early. Her reply, so I can see the stars in my head. Often there's poetry in another's words, so I wrote a poem. The words were hers, the poem mine. Tonight, I shall try to go to bed early to see if I can see the stars in my head. Mine will be a little different from hers, of course. Thank you.
Thank you.
Lots of poems about stars and lots of poems with references to stars in my poetry.
Okay. The poem I'm going to, this is my last poem that I'm going to share, is a reminiscence on my childhood. I grew up clinically depressed, only I didn't know it and no one else did either, because there was no such thing when I was a child, nor were there any treatments for it. And so I did not know why things seemed so bleak, but they did. And so this poem is simply called Dark. Some say it is a sickness, how everything filters through the glass of a mind not right. Everything is painted somber browns and blacks, all blurry against the stark white of misconceived perfection. Was I therefore, as a child, sick without knowing? Confused, I watched the conversation drift over and around the issue, depression, so precisely defined, the telltale signs tallied, held against one person or another to measure, to validate. How can they paint in small numbered patches the pervasive nebulous loneliness I have lived? What do you use for color when your emotions are a single shade of gray? I never knew my emptiness had names. I merely felt it, endured it, hid within myself, watching life go dim until I could see no reasons to resist, reaching to finalize the darkness. But an accidental memory on the mirror of the moment brushed away an inch of the bleakness and begged me, stay.
Oh my.
Oh my gosh, that's just so moving.
Yes. Yes.
Very relatable. Very, very relatable.
Thank you,
Without going into much detail.
which I never do.
No, not you going into detail, but without me going into detail about all the points at which I could absolutely relate.
Yeah, I get that. And as I've mentioned to Mary before, when you have gone through significant issues and come out the other side more whole than when you went into them, it makes a difference in how you think, how you write, how you communicate with others.
Yep.
And if you're lucky, you have the ability to write that so that other people can understand it better. And not everyone can.
And sometimes you go, you come out of it and then you go back into it. So that is also a big, well, challenge, for lack of a better word to use.
It
And-
is.
And you have to write about it like a roller coaster kind of thing.
Yep, the highs and the lows.
Yes.
Sterling, we're back around to you.
All right. I'll try it one more time. F-stop magic. Time-lapse cameras capture heavenly maelstroms. Starlight streaking night skies like raindrops, falling in phosphorescent strips that flashes brightly as fireflies piercing clouds, setting them aglow. Dewdrops on tree branches reflect brilliant electrical discharges before they flicker like fairy wings, losing their luster, spreading enchanted dust, surfing on airstreams that mingle, then blend with evening mists and shake off its cosmic mantle and fades behind hills, quenches kaleidoscope glory.
F-stops, topic dear to my heart.
That was actually an f-stop camera that I set up here in Washington and let it go all night long. And so that's what happened in the sky. I have to admit, my sister-in-law showed me how to do it.
Hey, that's how we all learn. Someone shows us how to do it.
Indeed. Thank you.
That makes it quite interesting. Of course, most of my photography is done outdoors in the daylight, so my only adjustments with f-stops are to try to get a high enough aperture setting like 22, 32 or higher if I can push it that far so I can get more depth of field on my macros. Other than that, I put it on semi-automatic and shoot.
Not knowing anything about photography, I don't know what you just described, but I know that I love your photographs.
Thank you. I will tell you in very simple terms. I do not know where the term f-stop came from, but every camera has a lens that has an opening in it for light to come through. And the size of that opening dictates to a large degree how much of what you're looking at or taking a photograph of will be in focus. It's like our eyes, when we're looking at something in the distance, our pupils contract so they're smaller, and it lets us focus on things that are far away. If you put something up close, like your hand in front of your face, and try to look at it, your pupils will actually get larger to accommodate the fact that you're so close. The effect that has is that you can't focus on your hand and something that's 20 feet away at the same time.
Okay.
So if you could force your pupils to not be this big and also not this big, but somewhere in between, you could see maybe your hand plus your computer screen in focus at the same time.
Oh, wow.
It changes how much of what you're looking at is in focus. And that's what an f-stop does. And playing with those makes a huge difference in the quality of photographs that you take. Portrait photographers typically shoot at an f-stop of 8. Because
It explains that I always wondered about the difference between vision, our vision, and what gets captured in a photograph, because it is very different. You know, our binocular vision and what gets captured in a photograph. And that kind of explains it, that by employing what you just described, the photograph can do what we can't do. And there's probably lots of things that our vision can do that a photograph can't.
Also true. One of the most fun things for me is trying to make my photographs look like what I think I saw.
Yeah.
And mine never do. Mine never do.
And just on a lighter note, I take a lot of photographs with my cell phone, and my family once suggested to me, why don't you switch from writing poetry to being a photographer, because it's more interactive and you can talk to everybody around, the cats and the husband and the children. Whereas when you're writing poetry, you're sort of sitting at your desk and concentrating, or, you know, very absorbed in the moment. So they said, why don't you get a new hobby? I didn't know those were hobbies, but anyway, whatever.
Yep, we all have hobbies.
Yeah, we do.
And photographers can be just as self-indulgent as poets, believe me.
Yeah, that's
yes.
true. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I was just thinking of Jim's note, the editor's note in the May issue, and where, you know, he was talking about various aspects of you know, being absorbed in something. So I'm glad I enjoy it. I do talk when I'm writing poetry, because it's just something for fun. It is a hobby. It's not like you got to get into the New Yorker kind of thing, you know. So yeah, so it's enjoyable. There's no pressure there. So I loved the editor's note that I could just relate to it.
Thank you. I'm going to stop recording at this point.